Hello, everyone. Welcome to another HEB virtual cooking class. I'm your host. My name is Scott. I'll be here the entire time for the next hour. Our time together is going to be precious. I'm so glad you're here. Normally, you hear another voice along with me, the moderator, which is normally Charlotte Samuel, but you may hear a different voice that sounds like this.
Hello.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, Jen Oye, she's no stranger to the show. She's our moderator. Charlotte is actually on location getting married, an undisclosed location. I'll give you the address. It'll be posted. You guys can go by and throw rice if you want to. We want to wish her congratulations and best of luck in her pending nuptials, but she's not here. Joining us is the ever lovely, the knowledgeable, the great Googler, the Uber Googler, the time keeper, time traveling, amazing Jen Oye. Did I sell it enough? Did I say enough about the?
I mean, I feel like it could have gone a little longer, but you know, it's fine.
I'll try better next time. Welcome, Jen Oye. Fun fact about Jen Oye: donuts make her go nuts. And number two, Jen, this class is perfect for you because we are making a Mother's Day brunch, but it's centered around one specific item. It's our scratch-made everything bagels, and I hear, because you've told me no less than 100 times, bagels are your desert island food. Is that right?
100% my desert island food.
It's a lot of pressure.
I would go anywhere for a bagel, especially a good one.
So, especially where?
Especially a good one. Anywhere for a good one.
Especially to the fair. I was like, are there bagels at fairs? I was like, I may have missed that completely.
I don't think you normally find those there, but
you got to go to the right fairs, obviously. We have a great menu. It's on our Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to Cheryl, your mom.
Thank
a lot of
you.
great things going on. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I want you to know, because it's a Mother's Day themed brunch, doesn't mean that it's just for Mother's Day. It can be for anything. You can reuse this for any shower, any birthday party, anything you want to do, where you want to do a fantastic brunch or breakfast. We're making these homemade scratch bagels. This is not just a regular homemade bagel. I mean, you hear that a lot, like going, oh, we're gonna make homemade bagels, it's gonna be yada yada. I'm telling you, we went as far down the rabbit hole, and I developed this recipe to make it like this closest to the New York style bagel that you can get. And I'm gonna show you a picture in a second that we took, because I want you to know, this show is live, it's completely uncut. Those of you watching on Facebook, don't forget, the shop will feature, if I pick up this berry pink Cody cooler, this little guy, berry pink is quite an interesting color. It's like, I would say fuchsia, but we call it berry pink. You can shop this item, simply click on it. It'll take you to the place on the interwebs where you can actually buy said item, and then you can be drinking your latte or it keeps anything hot or cold, your beer, your wine, your cocktail, whatever it is. Great for Mom and Mother's Day, the pink berry color, fantastic. Berry pink. Just know also, if you're on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. You can always go back and watch past episodes. That link to those past episodes, simply go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/HEB. Check out all the fantastic past episodes. We've got like professional decorators with floral, celebrity chefs, anything you can imagine we've got on there. Great content. Go back, relive all the favorite past episodes. If you missed something, you can always rewatch it there. This show is live. It's uncut. Whatever happens, happens. There's no teleprompter. There's no nothing. Right, Jen? We're just flying. And there's no bottom to it. It's like the Flintstones,
there's
right?
No
We're just
rewind.
Rolling as fast as we can. Keep it up. We've got a great menu. It is all about Mom being the star of this brunch. We're going to make a scratch-made bagel, which is really going to take up the entirety of the show. But we want to teach you some great techniques on how to make a fantastic roasted jalapeno cream cheese to go along with it. Because you got to make a good schmear. If you're on a desert island, Jen, what's your schmear? What's the schmear you're going to do?
Okay, so it depends on the bagel.
Toasted, untoasted?
Oh, definitely untoasted. Don't toast my bagel,
all right,
please.
Not going to toast it.
Got to be plain.
Plain
Bagel, plain cream cheese.
Untoasted.
Unless you know you're feeling a little frisky.
Okay,
then
even the frisky version.
And still untoasted, everything bagel with a little like garlic and herb cream cheese.
That's it? That's frisky?
That's it.
I
That's the
thought you were going to put like
friskiness.
unicorn waffles and Nutella all over
Well.
it. No, that's just like, that's the thing? Okay, fair enough. We're going to show you how to make a really fantastic schmear and also show you how to customize it. I'm also going to make a fantastic, I got to get a new adjective other than fantastic. I'm looking for other adjectives, shop around. Fantastic just seems to describe most of these things. It's a really nice homemade strawberry preserve. So we're going to kind of describe what's the difference between a jelly, a jam, and a preserve. I'm going to show you how to make it. And honestly, this is fantastic. Beyond Mother's Day usage, how to make a homemade preserve or jam or jelly is a fantastic skill to have in your culinary repertoire. And I'm going to show you how to do it like a pro. So like a boss, next time you're called to do something, you're like, I'll just bring my homemade fruit raspberry jam, no big deal. It'll just be like a constant thing. It'll just be, you'll be able to roll up to somebody's house and be like, oh, my homemade jam, no big deal. So I'm going to show you that. And then we have Hey, now you're gonna have to bear with me on this. So I'm gonna need a lot of grace because my bartending skills. Let's imagine bartending out of 100, right? A score, 100 being an A or perfect score. I'm like probably in the negative 12, like not quite on the list of failing yet, kind of just below that. So just bear with me. We're gonna make a peach Bellini cocktail for Mother's Day, but I'm gonna show you how to do some hacks because if you've noticed, if you walk in your local H-E-B, there's not a lot of peaches on the shelves right now. We're a couple weeks shy. You can always use frozen peaches, but I'm also gonna show you how to utilize one extra ingredient that's at pretty much every H-E-B in the produce section. It's fantastic. And Jen hates washing fruit, not watching fruit. She'll watch fruit all day long.
I will watch fruit.
She hates washing fruit.
Yes.
So we've got a little hack for you we're going to show you. So we're going to get started with these bagels. We got to start right away. So bagels. Rob, I think it's safe to show the picture now because I want to let people see. Wait, before you show it.
Brace yourself.
Just know I fail over and over and over again. It's in my diary. It's written in there. If you got my diary, you're like, fail, 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 fail. I do it so that when you attempt to do it, you don't have to fail. You can go, oh, so I get all the failing out of the way. So the picture you're about to see is the first attempt at my scratch-made everything bagel. Please enjoy. Jen, would you come to my bagel shop?
Oh my goodness.
Look
Yikes
at how
on
beautiful
bikes.
those guys are.
Oh wow. Is that a
And,
cracker or a breadstick?
No, Jen. It's a bagel. It was typical. So, Jen, you're not going to shop at my bagel shop. They look like that, right?
Oh, no, I'd walk out. I would look at those, walk out.
You're just walking out. She's like, she walks in, she's going in there for a bagel, she sees that, and she just goes, it's like a...
Nope. Quick
straight
no.
out the door. You know, that's fine because, again, I want to show you as we're making these, recipes is not always the easiest thing in the world. And so when you're making a yeasted bread, bagel's tough. Bagel is a definitely a more dense bread. It doesn't have that open structure. It's not as well hydrated as like a ciabatta or a pizza dough, where you see those big bubbles. You get those beautiful sourdough loaves that have those big, beautiful bubbled crumb structure. The bagel's supposed to be a little more tight in the crumb, right? Because we're putting a lot of cream cheese, a lot of things on it. So this whole process, if you read the recipe, it's about a 24-hour process. So the fact that we have 1 hour together, and I cherish that time that you give me, I'm going to show you this in various stages of undress because I want you to be able to see as you're doing this what it looks like, what the dough feels like, how it looks when it's all done, and kind of like that whole process. So we're going to do this together. So we're going to have patience together. We're going to go through this. The bagel itself, very minimal ingredients. 2 1/4 cups of water, going to go into your mixer. Real quick, your mixer. If you don't have like a professional style stand mixer, if you have one of the KitchenAids that's like a 5-quart or a 6-quart, it doesn't say pro on it, professional. Just know the gears are not as strong for heavy doughs like a bagel and or a brioche style dough that require a lot of mixing. So don't break your mixer. You can do the exact same thing I'm going to show you by hand. The mixer almost every mixer should be able to handle just the first mixing process, which I'll show you. A little bit of oil, 1/2 cup. I'm using a sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, anything that's unflavored. I don't like using olive oil in this because I don't want to taste it. I want the bagel as a very unique, especially like a New York style bagel, Jen. You know that bagel flavor, right? It has a very unique bagel style flavor. Here, let me put this on there. There you go, Rob. So it makes sense. Look at this. Da, da, da. Everybody watching. Which one?
The left one.
What I'm going to use actually a Steen's Pure Cane Syrup. So most bagels have this ingredient in them right here. It's called barley malt syrup. We don't sell this at H-E-B. So you can definitely buy this online if you wanted to. I found in the multiple times I failed, you saw the picture, I'm not afraid of failing over and over and over and over and over again to get it right. I found the Steen's Pure Cane Syrup, which you can find at almost every H-E-B, works just as good as the barley malt syrup. I think it works fantastic. You're going to need 4 tablespoons of this, but it's divided use. 2 tablespoons is going to go into the dough. That's going to be part of our sweetness for the dough. And the rest we're going to add to the water because, like a good New York bagel, we have to boil it, and then we're going to bake it. And why do we boil it, Jen? Why would you boil a bagel?
Oh,
it has to do with, you got to have that...
The chew.
The
chew is
all
so important.
About the chew. If you've been into a bagel, Jen, and bagel is I trust that Jen is a bagel connoisseur.
Yes,
if
self-proclaimed.
You've been into a bagel. Wait, what? So you said bagel sommelier? Is that what you said? Are you a sommelier?
I mean, they haven't come out with the curriculum yet, but yes.
You have a bagel PhD? You're going to tell me that next? I've got a PhD in bagels. I think I know a thing or two about bagels. Stir this all together. You've got oil. So why the oil in the dough? It's going to give it a little tenderness, but also the oil is going to act as a preservative. In goes our yeast. I've got 2 packets of yeast. A little quick thing on yeast because then everybody's going to, I think it's good to have that conversation about yeast. There are 3 different kinds of yeast you can buy. Well, most HEBs you can buy different styles. I like the bags of yeast. You can buy it in the jars. I feel like it's just kind of a hassle if you're not going to use it all the time. Rapid Rise instant yeast and active dry yeast, real fast. The Rapid Rise instant yeast, for me, you can use them both interchangeably, but just know the Rapid Rise yeast is not really meant for long fermentations, and per the recipe, the flavor of this bagel is all done once it's in the fridge, covered and sitting there for about 12 hours. That's when all that great fermentation is coming. We don't want a Rapid Rise. Rapid Rise is more for like your like bread machines, things like that, where you're going to actually like kind of need like the fast rise, where you're going to make it in a couple hours. I always look at it as the Rapid Rise instant yeast is like if you're at a horse race and it's the right out of the gate, 50 yards, it's like way ahead of the pack, and you're like, I'm going to win, and it goes, and it just walks over and starts eating flowers, and all the other horses finish the race. Like that's what the active dry does. So I stay away from Rapid Rise unless, again, your bread machine calls for it. I always feel like active dry is much better. And I don't bloom. I've been cooking for 20 years professionally. I've never bloomed yeast. Yeast is ready to go out of the bag. You don't need to bloom it. If you have fresh yeast, you can bloom the yeast. It'll help it. But once it's in the liquid and once we start mixing, it's going to do its thing. It may take a little slower to get going, but I want to show you real fast. I don't know if you can see this, Rob, but the Rapid Rise yeast is actually a much tinier granule. So it's like a little bit smaller, and it reacts a lot faster. So that's why when it hits water, it's going to react a lot quicker versus the other active dry, which is a little bit bigger. So it takes a little more time to get hydrated and do its thing. But that's why the active dry, slower fermentation, we're going to do. I'm going to use sea salt. I got 7 cups of bread flour. Now, why bread flour? Because we want chew. We want that chew. So I've got a really high protein flour, a high gluten flour that's really going to develop that chew that's going to make the bagel so great. Now, could you use all-purpose? You can. You may want to mix it a little bit longer. So it's a 3-minute mix. I got my salt. So I'm using sea salt. A little thing about salt. I'm using, for all these recipes today, I'm going to use our HEB fine crystal sea salt. The reason why I use a finer sea salt instead of kosher salt, you know, if you've watched this program, I love kosher salt. I'm a big fan of all salts. I like a fine crystal because kosher salt, with its more like flaky granules, it can tend to split apart. Same thing with like a more coarse grind sea salt, can actually tear the gluten that we're trying to form. So by using a really fine sea salt, it's actually going to blend a little bit better, and it won't actually harm the gluten formation that we're trying to get. That makes sense. That makes sense, Jen?
Yeah, and another thing, the water is super important too, right?
Water is very important. That's why people talk about the water in New York. That's why everybody loves the pizza in New York, the water, the bagels, also the water. But we're going to show you some tricks. So I like to use a good filtered water. Whenever I do any kind of baking where I'm using a water or anything, just use anything that's good filtered. If you live in San Antonio, you know that our water's a little mineral. It can sometimes taste like you're drinking a rock, like rock quarry. It's like it has a minerality to it. But I use a really good, just any kind of filtered water is totally fine for this. The better the water, the better the outcome, I think. 3 minutes on this to kind of get it going. This is all we're looking to do is just kind of mix it all together. I'm going to use a term called autolyse. Autolyse. I think it's autolyse. And there's actually a man whose name is Autolyse, and I got it wrong when Jen Googled it because I told you Jen is very knowledgeable, and she's an uber Googler. I thought that the Autolyse technique had been around for, I said a couple of centuries.
Nope.
I may have overshot it. It was like 1974 when the Autolyse was invented, but that just shows you how far back and vast my knowledge is. Look, the elevator doesn't always go to the top floor most days, so I do what I can with what I got. Will you talk about, I thought his name was Cowbell Autolyse, but you said,
no.
I just heard Jen wrong, because I was like, he was ahead of his time with that name, Cowbell. What was his name? Give us a little history on this guy, the Autolyse.
His name, Raymond Cowbell. Yes.
See, it sounds like cowbell, right?
It does sound like cowbell. I will give you that.
Sounds like cowbell? All
yes,
right.
It does.
So the autolyse is very, very important in bread making, especially for bagels, because it starts our fermentation, right? So we have our bagel dough going here. Okay, so see how it's all kind of come together? Do you see how we got this mixer behind a dumpster of an unnamed store I won't name. We just found it there. It felt neglected, but you see how it all kind of like, it's got a little swagger? It's seen better days, you know, it's been around a while. I like to give it a break. At this point, after 3 minutes of mixing your dough, now, you're gonna let it sit. Wet towel over the dough, 30 minutes. That's the autolyse phase. That's gonna allow everything. We've got bread dough, we've introduced the water, the yeast, the salt, everything's in there. The sugar in the form of the Steen's pure cane syrup. That's all gonna sit. As this sits, I'm just showing you this just because to show you. This has been 3 minutes that's been kneaded. So you can kind of see there's a lot of little cracks and things in it, like it's not fully formed. That's what the auto lease is gonna do. So when it sits with a wet towel over to the mixer, 30 minutes to kind of let it rest, and then you're gonna turn it back on the mixer for 15 minutes. If your mixer's like, I can't do this, take me off. Like, don't kill your mixer. Do it by hand. The way you're gonna knead it by hand, set a timer, let the kids help out. It's a great one to help out. Take your dough, and you're just gonna fold it over. Set the timer 15 minutes, and just keep folding.
Make sure
Here's how
you
you get
skip
those-
arm day.
What's that?
You said you're going to get your arm day here. Make
You're
sure
gonna
you
get your
skip
arm
it.
day. You'll get your forearms. Look, you ever shake a baker's hand? You ever like they'll crush your hand with their. It's a lot of hand strength, but it's just this. This is all you do. So it's just kind of working the dough back and forth, kind of folding it over, rolling, folding it over. But even if you just kind of do this,
Oh, the
the
karate
kids
chop.
are like, I'm helping. It's like it's fine. It's all part of the. We're still developing gluten. The fact that it's resting in this container, it's building gluten. We're not even touching it because the flour and water are mixing together and they're all sitting. So it's still developing gluten while it's sitting in the auto lease stage. This is just to make sure we get that really nice chew. It's got a long fermentation, so that's going to go in there. I'm going to move this guy out of the way here. Actually, I'm going to pull him completely off. So that would go 30 minutes. We'd knead it for another 15 minutes, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. I'm going to put this over here.
And I missed it. Were you using the paddle or the dough hook? I missed it.
I'm using the dough hook. You always want to use the dough hook for doughs because you want to make sure it just kind of simulates like that kind of slowly kind of kneading it. Also, side note, if you make cookie dough, those of you that make homemade chocolate chip cookies, when you're actually putting in all your mixes, like once you've got all your flour in there and you're adding all your like whatever it's marshmallows, chocolate chips, switch to the dough hook. It actually helps fold better.
Wow.
Little trick, I'm telling
So
you. All right, let me move my
smart.
cutting board out of the way. That's just one of those things if you got a little dough hook. But yes, if you don't break your mixer, if you don't have one of those big professionals, you can just use it by hand. Bakers all over the world go right by hand. So let me show you this. This is after it's sat, after it's kind of done its thing in the mixer. This is fully ready to go here. I put it in an oiled bowl for 45 minutes. This is, so you can see there's a little bit of development. Just feels, I love something about dough. Just dough, this feels good. Like getting it, like this, massage?
Oh,
Massage? Tell
wow.
me about how tough your
So
day was.
it's very slappable,
It
though.
is very slappy. What I'm going to do here is I have my K&T bench scraper. I'm going to kind of, so you can see it's a little bit sticky, but it's not that sticky. Always, and I'm going to show you how to roll dough right now, you want to always put a wet towel over it because if you work very slowly on trying to do things, you're trying to go, look, we're all time starved. We all have a million things going on. I totally get like you could walk away for 30 minutes and go, oh my gosh, the dough is probably so dried out. Allow me to tell you a story. When I was just learning to cook in kitchens, I was in an Italian kitchen called Cicconi's. It's still there in West Hollywood. Andrea Cavalieri was an Italian chef who was amazing. There was a time when I was doing pizza and the pizza dough got left out because I left it out and I got a skin over it, right? You leave dough long enough, anybody's ever done it, you get like a skin, right? And I was like, oh, and they came over and I'll never forget, he was a very quiet guy, never yelled. He took some water, and as he's making very heavy eye contact with me, just goes, and just was rubbing the dough with the water, and then did it again, and then put a wet towel over it, just kind of,
Walked away.
and I felt the like,
Shame.
like, let me get out of here. But if it starts to form a skin, don't panic. Just add a little bit of water to it, and it'll start to slowly kind of do it, and then put a wet towel over it. But to form the balls, you see how I've got here? Jen, my little dough balls here?
I do, yes.
So if you've ever watched bagel making, and right now you may be like, oh, I'm calling foul, Scott, you're wrong, can't do it like that. They got to be in snakes. Right. You can do it that way if you've been making bagels for 30 years, but I'm going to show you a better way to do this. Stay with me. Ready for this? All right, first of all, you need a scale. If you don't have a scale, these are under $20. This is a bamboo scale. It's pretty fancy, but again, under 20 bucks at HEB, my local HEB. They have a bunch of different scales. I don't use a lot of scales for a lot of things unless I'm doing bread. And this is just to weigh my scale. Can you see it on the thing there? Can you see I want to make sure you can see
Yeah.
let me move this guy over here.
All right, let's see how good you are. See if you can get on the first try.
Been doing it a while. See how good I can get? Are you
Yeah.
ready for this? All right, here we go. My wet towel of my dough. We're looking for 5 ounces. That's about the size of I said a baseball earlier. I was like, I'm not very good at baseball or anything that has to do with hand-eye coordination. I was a rugby player forever, and that was much easier to catch a ball or do something like that. This is going to be light, so I'm going to show you. Rob told me earlier.
Oh, my.
I'm going home. Thanks, everybody. You've been great.
Wow, that's it.
Damn,
that's
not
all,
going to get
folks.
any better than that. I'm going to cut 3 little dough balls here. Eventually, you just get to the feeling of it. Nope, a little too much. Scrape that guy off. Now, why, Jen, am I not just pulling the dough. Well, you don't want to rip the dough like that. You notice how I'm cutting the dough, 4.9 is close enough. You don't want to tear the dough because you're going to tear the gluten. You always want to cut the dough so it's clean. That way you won't get all that missing of the 5.3, close enough. That'll work. All right, our dough right here. I'm going to put that back over. Thank you, Scale, so much for the tutorial session. So now how do you roll the dough? So I'm going to show you 2 ways. There's I call the C-clamp way, which you roll. I'm also going to show you the mozzarella way, where you roll mozzarella the same way. So this is, again, give yourself grace. Baking like this at this level, I would definitely call this more of an expert level. Give yourself time. The recipe will kind of walk you through it, but use your senses. If it feels off or it feels like it's not working, look, the yeast is imperfect. It is a living organism, but a lot of times the yeast you get is dead. If you don't see any yeast fermentation or anything going on or any bubbles or any growth, your yeast may be dead. Don't get frustrated. Just throw it out and start over again, because that can happen from time to time. So just know there's all these little things that may happen to you during that. There's certain things you can plan for, but usually kind of look for it. That's why we kind of let it sit. You let it auto-lease, you let it sit for 45 minutes. If you don't see anything happening, no bubbles, nothing, then you're like, maybe the yeast. So you just kind of go from there. All right, so I'm going to take my little C-clamps. I'm going to take my, we'll do the top camera here. I'll try to go. You're going to slowly roll the ball kind of like into your hand. So kind of like I'm rolling it with like the 2 fingers, kind of using my, my last 2 fingers. So using really the thumb and the middle finger to kind of like roll the dough. And you're going to, this took a lot of pizzas to get the dough shaped like this to be able to roll really, really fast. When you're done, if you flip it over, there should be a little where you knotted it up. All right, that's one. Every time you do anything with dough, especially this dough, which is not a very hydrated dough, it's about a 50% hydration rate, because we're doing a bagel. If it's really hydrated, it's going to fall apart in the water. Always spray it. Make sure you got enough spray on it to really keep it coated so it doesn't dry out. The next ball, again, same thing. So if we go really, really fast, we speed up the action, slow it down. I'm just rolling the ball. See how ugly this is? I just cut the dough and put it in a big piece. Doesn't matter. I'm going to roll this like so. Flip it over. There's my little doot. That one goes right there. This is enough for 12 big bagels. Why do I make things in such big quantities, you may ask? We talk about pies. I make 2 pies because, and I'll tell you why. Alyssa, who works with us, her husband and his father, at their house, and they had taken a pie from the class, and they took 2 pies. The recipe makes 2 pies. And they sat, and they're like, do you want another piece? Maybe I'll have, maybe, if you will, if you'll have another piece. So they ate one, and then they ate another one, and then by the time, all of a sudden, the pie was gone. And they were like, thank God there's another pie, because we ate the whole pie, the 2 of us, and there was nothing left. I got you. You see, I understand how this works. All right, the mozzarella way. Take your dough, kind of press it down. Take your hands, and you're going to slowly kind of fold like you're folding. Can you see my fingers here? I'm kind of folding and tucking, folding and tucking, folding and tucking. At this point, as you kind of tucked, take your fingers, and you're just going to push the dough. This is the mozzarella thing. So mozzarella, you're going to kind of push it. So you have a little ball at the bottom. This is where you pop it off like that. But see, can you see little bubbles here? I don't know if you can see that. Can you see them? Kind of. There's a little bit of, so I have some yeast activity, so I know my yeast is not dead. So a little bubble, you just push it down. Bada! Bada bing. That's how you roll. So you roll 12 of those guys, and those would go from this point. These are going to go right into the fridge. Now cover them with plastic wrap. Although, can I show you something? I covered my dough balls with a trash bag. Not a flavored or scented trash bag. No lavender, no Febreze, no Gain, none of that stuff. A plain trash bag, because if you wrap it with plastic wrap too tight, you may notice over the course of the night, you're going to spray these real good into the fridge for at least 12 hours or overnight. If you tie them real tight with the plastic wrap, sometimes as they're trying to escape, they may kind of spread out. Not a big deal. It just may kind of hinder. So I like the trash bag thing better because it kind of gives them a little room to kind of puff up that they need to. All right, this goes in the fridge. Here's my bagels. Let me show you this. All right, first of all, here's my bagels. I'm going to take those out in a second. The dough I'm going to move. I showed you the dough. Look at this. Look how beautiful that. Come on, look at how beautiful that is. Nice and hydrated, so it's like it's sticky. So like if I touch it, it doesn't stick to my hand, but it'll stick to the table a little bit. But if you kind of move it around, it'll kind of pull it up. It's perfect. It's beautiful, a really good dough. But again, take your time. This is everything takes practice, right? Everything takes. Jen, is there anything you know that doesn't take practice?
Not that I know of, no.
There's actually one thing I thought of. For me, failing takes no practice at all. I can do that it's like second nature for me to just go, oh, I failed. My diary is full of entries about failing. I think you've read my diary,
I
right?
did. I read
my,
it can get pretty dark at times.
I let people read it because usually it makes them feel better about themselves. And they'll be like, oh, I feel better. It's like a pick-me-up. Okay, we're going to make this homemade preserve really, really simply. While we're making the bagels, we're going to boil the bagels. I'm going to show you the finished bagels, and then we're going to do the jams. The jam is really simple. It's literally 2 pounds of strawberries, which is 2 containers of our strawberries. I'm just using the H-E-B Organics. Fantastic. Took the tops off, and all I do is cut them into you can cut them into, quarters. You can dice them real small. It doesn't matter. We're going to cook them. The whole point of a preserve is you really have that stuff in there. You get the piece of fruit. Moving to the stove cam. I'm using a K&T nonstick pot because it's fantastic, and it's something that over time, especially with this 75,000 BTU stove we have, we'll actually keep it from actually burning. Uh-oh, I'm losing some strawberries.
Oh, you lost a few jumpers.
That's all right. That's okay. It's all right. All right, lost a few strawberries. There is really nothing to this except the sugar, the strawberries, a little bit of lemon and lemon zest, a pinch of salt just to bring out all those flavors. And Jen, what did you like about the preserve when you tasted it earlier?
Ooh, the vanilla.
The vanilla. So I put a little bit of vanilla in it. Why? Because I really want to take up the kind of strawberry flavor, but I'm turning on my water too. If you're following along, I'm going to boil the bagels while I'm doing this all at the same time. I got the strawberries in. I'm going to get my sugar. So I would encourage you to say, if you're trying to cut down on sugar in the middle of the summer, if the strawberries are really, really, really sweet, you may want to try and cut down the sugar if you want to. I'm using a cup and a third of sugar here. You may think you want to cut down the sugar, but I will tell you that for some reason, anytime you make jam or any kind of jelly, you always need a little more sugar than you think, because by the time you either spread it on toast, which you're going to do, or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, something that's salty, you need something that has enough sugar to stand up. So even when they're at their sweetest, the max I would back off the sugar is like the third cup, the extra third cup. Put at least a cup in there so it all kind of balances out. I have lemon zest and juice. Reason why I'm using the lemon zest and the juice, most of you may be saying, nah, I don't want to have all that lemon flavor. It really doesn't have a lemon flavor. Jen, did you taste any real lemon flavor?
No,
It's not like strawberry lemonade.
Very strawberry.
The lemon zest is going to bring out the natural acid in the strawberries a little bit. It's going to give a little bit of extra, just kind of punch to it. And the juice is going to kind of be our preservative. So it's going to kind of act as the little preservative there, those little bit of citric acid in there. Get all the zest off. It's just the zest of basically one lemon and one, this thing is going high already. 1 lemon and 1 zest of 1 lemon, juice of 1 lemon. Cut my lemon in half. I got my juicer. You can get this bad boy at H-E-B. The pot, you can also get at H-E-B. The lemon, also H-E-B. Jen Oye, also H-E-B.
Also at H-E-B.
All right, 1 lemon, done. And a little bit of, so here's the deal. I have my vanilla extract. Vanilla extract has alcohol in it. Yes, you can find vanilla extract that is sans alcohol. However, I like the alcohol one better, the one with alcohol. I'm just using our regular old H-E-B vanilla, Madagascar vanilla bourbon. Bourbon vanilla, say that again. Madagascar pure bourbon vanilla. There we go, I'll get it right. Again, elevator doesn't always go to the top, folks, so you just kind of get what you get on a nightly basis. I'm putting it in now because I want the vanilla to kind of burn off. The alcohol's going to burn off. It's going to kind of simplify itself. Only about a teaspoon, just a little splash. Again, it's just going to give it a little roundness, a little bit of flavor to it. If I wanted to make this a dessert sauce for ice cream, or think like your French toast for a pancake style syrup, you can absolutely use the same exact ingredients, but just add a teaspoon of vanilla up front and then add more vanilla at the back end off the heat, because that way it won't cook it and you'll get much more fresh vanilla flavor. That's my biggest trick if you want to kind of preserve as much vanilla flavor as you can. Trying to add it as close to the end as possible if you're cooking something, just so it has that in there. All right, that's going to go. I'm going to bring it to a simmer, Jen. This is going to go.
Okay, Tompkins. If I love strawberries,
yep.
But let's say I didn't, could I use a different berry?
Yes. Strawberries have a lower pectin, are lower on the pectin scale. Apples tend to be a little bit higher. There's a lot of fruits that tend to be either higher or lower in pectin. You can use blueberries, you can use raspberries, you can go get the ready-made fruit that we have, the mixed berries. You could use those raspberries, blackberries, any of those you want to do. You could absolutely do the exact same thing. It's whole fruit goes in, and that's it. It's the whole fruit. You don't need to strain it. You don't need to do anything else. If you're worried about, like if you're in a raspberry or blackberry, there's obviously a lot of seeds in those. You can always just strain that through a sieve to get the actual juice out of it. But I feel like that's kind of the beauty of a preserve is you get the actual pieces of fruit.
Yeah.
But you can make a jam out of anything. Dragon fruit, pineapple. I mean, you just reduce it long enough. There's water content. It'll boil off just like our strawberries. That's going to simmer for about 10 minutes at kind of a rapid simmer. Then we're going to lower the heat. We're going to let it cook for about 35 to 45 minutes until you see I've used it before. If you watch, you can go back. Jiggle and a wiggle. Wiggle means it's wet. Wiggle means it's like you stir it and it kind of goes, whoa, whoa. It's like jiggle kind of goes, whoop, where it stays together. Like that, what I mean? It's like, hey, it's like kind of stays together. So that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna go, I'm gonna bring our water to so we gotta do a 2 process, right? We're doing a New York style bagel. It's a 2-tier cooking process. The boiling of the bagel is what's gonna give you the chew. So we're gonna kind of set the outside. So the other 2 tablespoons I talked about of the steins is gonna go in the liquid. The reason why, and you're gonna see this, you'll get that nice mahogany kind of dark color to the bagel. We're adding a little bit of sugar to this water. Now, if you have a huge pan of water, I love this Kit K&T pan here. I'm just gonna use a little bit more. You just want enough. How do you get it off? Just put your teaspoon in there, tablespoon, stir it around, get it all to combine. And along with this, we're gonna add a big pinch of salt. We wanna make sure at every avenue of that bagel, when you go to bite into it, even though we're gonna add the bagel not include spice over the top, we always want to make sure at every layer there's flavor. So you get a little of that sweetness, which is going to help caramelize part of that Maillard reaction. You're going to get that beautiful caramelization, which is going to help brown up the top of the bagel. Now we're going to also help the bagel browning by adding a little bit of an egg wash to the top as we go. Now, if you really want your bagels to shine, there's a lot of kind of that egg-style New York bagel. You can omit the eggs and do just yolks. If you do just yolks, you're going to get that really mahogany, shiny kind of like yellow color. If you like that, great. If not, I'm just using whole eggs. Again, totally doesn't matter. Totally up to you. All right, here's how we talked about earlier. I was like, why didn't you roll it? People that were like, why didn't you roll it like a snake? You're supposed to do it like you roll it like this on your hand. I'm like, Rob, will you show the picture one more time?
Oh, gosh. Ooh,
yeah, so it didn't work so well. I haven't been making bagels for 35 plus years, and I don't know if you have, but if you're like me and you're like, hey, I just want to do this lickety-split. So I could take these and roll them out into a snake, and then you form them and you kind of pinch it, and you put your hand over it and you kind of roll it like this. At some point, unless you're really, really good at it, when you put it in the water, you put it in the pan, you put it in the oven, it'll start to kind of separate if you don't have that seal. So I decided, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So I was like, well, you've made donuts before. Why don't you just put the hole in afterwards? So I'm like, how about we do something that the kids can do? Here you go. You ready for this? I'm about to blow your mind, Jen.
I'm so excited.
Bagel connoisseur. Here we go. You take this finger, or any finger, straight into the center of the dough, press it around like so till you feel the bottom, pick it up, take your other finger or 2 fingers, and simply turn it like so.
Oh,
you remember doing this when you were a kid, right? Look at the bagel. There's no tearing, there's no seam. It's just a beautiful hole in the center. Come on.
I'm so impressed
Anybody
that
out
you
there?
figured that out.
Anybody? It took a lot. I told you read my diary. It was a lot.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Some heavy failing in the months of June or January and March. But we got through it. All right, there we go. So we're going to put it, now you want to make the holes a little bit bigger at first, because as it starts to kind of proof back up, as you kind of knock the air out of it, it will start to kind of fold back together. Now, Jen, you said you like a little bit of a smaller kind of opening, so
yeah,
that it kind of catches everything, right? So I'm going to kind of go a little bit tighter with my holes on these, but again, it's just finger in, all the way up, just around. You can do 2 fingers if you want to. This is like something the kids can do, you know what I mean? And then they just straight back down the pan. And we're gonna actually bake these in the exact same pan. We're gonna put them in 3 at a time in our little mixture over there, and then we're gonna put them back on the pan. They're gonna get an egg wash. They're gonna go right into the oven, and while that's going and we're boiling these, I'm gonna make the jalapeno cream cheese.
Can you make the hole too big? Is that a thing?
I mean, you can. If you don't want like a giant, like if you don't want your bagel like It's like, you're like, ooh, I put it around my neck. Like, it's like, if you don't want that kind of a bagel, yeah, I would stick with a smaller, but I don't think it really matters. I mean, there's ones that the holes are a little bit bigger. I mean, I don't think any bagel you go to out of any bagel joint. Oh, we forgot to ask, poll the audience, because Jen's a bagel connoisseur.
Yeah.
She wants to know where you go for the best bagel in town.
Please let me know.
Besides here.
Besides the Tompkins household, where can I get a
Where
good
can you
bagel
get a good bagel?
in
Jen's looking
San
for a
Antonio or anywhere in Texas?
And
really.
she's going to come
I will travel.
full judgy on that. She's going to do full judgment on the. She's a bagel connoisseur. All right. So our bagels, they have holes in them. They're ready to go. I'm going to put them over next to our water here. Our water needs to be at just about a simmer. Can you guys see this? Jen, can you see my strawberries going?
I can.
Strawberries
yes.
look pretty good.
Don't forget your spoon.
Okay. Bagels are going to go over here. They're about ready to go. As soon as it comes to a simmer, Jen, I want you to start screaming. Well, start screaming, slower than you would normally loudly scream. And then I'll start putting them in the water. I'm going to make our cream cheese spread. So I could have gone a lot of ways with this. Like you got to have a good schmear on a cream cheese. You go to your favorite bagel shop. They have different things. The jalapeno is a good one. I kept thinking of like what's in Texas. But also, when I was doing this, and I was like, well, if I'm doing a strawberry, I can't go crazy. Or can I? So I did. So if you've noticed, you ever seen these? These are the H-E-B pecan toffee. It says underlined in blue letters, milk chocolate. A little sweeter, a little better. It's select ingredient. It's toffee, it's pecan, it's chocolate. If you throw the entire pack, that'd be 6 ounces, into a food processor, bigger than this one, with a 8-ounce container of whipped cream cheese. I don't know why I'm not a big fan of brick cream cheese. I feel like the brick cream cheese is like, I don't want to do this right now. Can you let me sit out on a counter for 12 hours so I can soften up and get ready? Where I feel like that's what brick cream cheese is saying to me every time. I'm like, I can't deal with you.
Oh, Tom.
Whipped cream cheese is ready to go. At the drop of a hat, I can pull it out of the fridge now. I can use it in my cheesecake. That's what I like to use. And also, it has a bunch of air folded into it. So you add a pinch of salt, a little bit of sugar, the entire pack. I know it sounds crazy that I'm adding sugar. I get it. But you're adding this with the cream cheese. And it might have been the most decadent thing I've ever put on any kind of bagel. And I didn't really need to eat it on a bagel, but
okay, Tom,
I'm going to show you.
Hold on. Your pan needs attention over there. I think it might be boiling.
It's not going to boil over.
Okay.
I got this. We're using the K&T earlier, and this happened at my house when I was making the jam, the preserves. It boiled over quite a few times. Always, and on the recipe I say, don't walk away from it because it will boil. What you can do is you can leave a spoon in there. Earlier I said, the elevator doesn't always go to the top floor. I know about, heat, dispersion and things like that, but I was like, I don't know why it's always, when I put the spoon in there, it's always good, never boils over. And Rob's like, well, it's heat dispersion. Rob is our wizard. He went to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and he does all of our, he's the magician that does all the camera work and all the things he does. So he's the only graduate of Hogwarts that I've ever actually met in the United States, and he's amazing. And he just said, yeah, it's just heat dispersion. You put the spoon in there, it takes some of the heat away. And I'm like, again, I know the concept, just was always like, it's crazy. You leave the spoon there, it never goes over. I'm like, oh, that's why. Look, I'm here to try and help you guys make life a little bit easier, and also myself. I learn daily. All right, a little container of my cream cheese here. I got one right here. Also, Jen, did you happen to notice I have a pound of butter?
I did notice that. I was wondering when that was going to come in.
It'll come in anytime you're ready. I have this ready to go. It is look at that.
It's a solid brick of butter.
It's soft. It's ready to go. I'd never give you a brick, Jen. I'd always give you the soft. Unlike the brick of cream cheese that's over there in the corner going, I'm not ready yet. It's like, this butter is ready to go on any bagel that I have right now. Ooh. All right, my cream cheese. If you think I'm going to tax our little guy here, you would be right. Cream cheese is going to go in. I'm going to roast up and break up some jalapenos. Jen, you want full seeds in your
oh
in your
yeah,
cream cheese?
yeah,
you're all in on that.
Go
huh?
all in. I want spice.
All right.
I want to taste the jalapeno.
If you have wait, what? You're all in. All right. Good pinch of salt. Big pinch of salt. Cream cheese has a little salt. We got to make sure we add enough salt. Again, that's the biggest thing we talk about. All right, our thing is ready. You ready for this? I'm so excited. 1 minute per side is what we're going to do here. See how it's floating? That means it's nicely proofed. If it sinks to the bottom, it means it's still kind of not quite proof. That's how you're going to be a master at bagel making in this, because you're going to understand and learn to read your dough. If it's floating, that means there's more air in it. It's been able to to proof a little bit longer. 1 minute we got on there on the timer. I'm going to go back and forth here. All right, I'm going to turn on a burner over here. In the actual recipe itself, I take 3 jalapenos. I toss them a little bit of the Rustico olive oil, and I throw them under the broiler. I don't have a gas stove. I have an old 1955 coil stove that all work at different levels in different varying ways. So I usually toss them in olive oil, put them on a sheet pan with foil, toss them under the broiler, like 6 inches under the broiler, let them get blistered on all sides so they get nice and burnt. But since we have the fantastic stove, I'm going to throw those right in the fire here. I'm going to let those get nice and charred for Jen. I'm going to move my spoon over so I don't catch that on fire. My bagels are still going. I'm also going to show you about my cocktail. I'm really excited for this. I'm going to put my glasses. Are they over here?
Also, I feel like the age of your stove it's getting older each time.
Is it get older every time?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you know, we're prone to embellishment, first of all, but I feel like I just like to make a point. It probably is circa 1960. Sorry, I'm dropping things as I'm doing things. Circa 1960. It's probably like, if I had to be completely honest, it's probably like 1969.
Okay.
So it's old, but it's, you know, it could be, I guess it could be older, in other words. I have this handy dandy apparatus here. My timer's going off on a reflip, so you're gonna flip it. 1 minute, flip.
Ooh,
careful not to splash
careful.
yourself. This is why we wear aprons, because I'm just wearing boiling hot water on my apron, so it's fine. I'm a professional, skilled mostly, professional, so I can do this.
If you squint your eyes.
Can you see, I don't know, Rob, if you can see it. There's a little bit of that yeast fermentation activity, so you're gonna get those little bitty bubbles that go around the top, and they look amazing. All right, this is cooking really fast. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit, just a touch, because it is getting pretty, but see all those, look at these beautiful berries in there. So these are gonna cook down to where they're nothing. So when you're spreading it on, forget the bagel. Like the bagel, yes, but on like toast, jam, whatever, it'll absolutely, well, hang on. You can't put preserves on jam. I just said on jam on toast, and that's not right. That was so strike that from what you're gonna put preserves on. Don't put preserves on your jam. Put it on your toast, or on your bagel, or on your pancakes, or something else. That's what you wanna do. All right, our jalapenos here. I think I lost one down the drain there, and that's all right. This is a giant cooking vessel right here. All right, this timer's done. Watch this. To extract, we're using our little spider here. Right over on the side, same exact pan. Throw them on here. We're going to brush them immediately with our egg wash as soon as we add 3 more to the pot. Now at this point, if your holes started to kind of close in, just kind of slowly kind of open them up a little bit. All right, little egg wash. I don't know if you can see this, Rob. I'm going to try and make it easy. Egg wash right over the top. Again, if you want them really nice and golden yellow, just use straight yolks. But again, this is also kind of making sure we stay, the moisture stays on our bagel.
And
the
that
reason
pan
why
is oiled, right?
What's that? Just oil.
Yeah,
Oil on the
okay.
pan. Yes, so they're easier to get up. Absolutely. All right, here we go. I got my jalapenos here. All right, those guys are pretty roasted. I'm going to turn this off. I've got like 70,000 BTU. All right, these are nice. I got nice little char marks. I'm okay with all this. Pull this little guy out. This poor little guy. He didn't get any color at all. I'll just use the 2. I got big jalapenos, Jen. We'll do 2.
Okay.
All right, that's boiling. My timer's still going. All right, right in here, just like this. Do not scrape any of that beautiful flavor off there. That's where all the yummy comes in. All that burned, charred flavor is what's going to make this amazing. So I'm going to do a little, cut the tip off, just kind of dice it into smaller pieces. Now, because this is very, very hot, and I'm going in with cold dairy, it's going to, it'll kind of look like it's getting a little bit more wet because it's kind of heating up the dairy. It's going to be totally fine. I promise it'll set up beautifully, and I'll show you in a second. So these go in here, all that. That's it. That is all I'm doing for the jalapeno cream cheese. You can do this with any other pepper. You want to add, jalapeno is not your speed. If it's too spicy, I'm kind of a spice wuss as well. Don't feel like you have to use you don't have to use that. You can always use something else. You can use a poblano pepper, red bell peppers. I'm going to put this guy on here. You think it's got the juice to do it, Jen?
It's the little mixer that could. Yes.
Hyperdrive.
Oh.
What I love about this is I feel like it's a very child safe. All right, bagels would flip. I'm going to flip these guys. Jam is going like crazy. Kind of go slow here. 60 more seconds on those guys. This is very kid safe because if you walk away, it can't just be running and somebody could fall. As soon as you take your hand off, it goes down. I need a spoon to scrape down the sides here. Again, this is all about easy. I feel like when you walk into a good bagel place and they say they got a jalapeno cream cheese, It shouldn't be like jalapeno scented. It should be like, have the green and the chunks of jalapeno in it.
Yes.
Again, this is customizable. You want to add a couple cloves of roasted garlic, some shallots, some cayenne pepper, some garlic powder, some, how about some smoked brisket pieces? I don't know, whatever you want to throw in there. You could make it your own cream cheese. That's actually a really good idea. You do the brisket queso, why not make a brisket cream cheese?
Man, you heard it here first.
That's mine. I get to own that one. That's mine. I want to own that one. All right, that is it. Into a little bowl it goes. We'll get this guy ready for the refrigeration. Now, the longer everything sits, if you're trying to do this in advance of Mother's Day, just know everything can be done ahead of time. All right, my timer goes off. That's why I got my good timer here. Timer goes off. You see how fast we're kind of cooking all these bad boys up. These are going to get evacuated to our same sheet pan. New ones go in. 60 seconds. Again, repeat the timer. Egg wash goes on these. The reason why I'm crowding the pan like this, using a lot of egg on these bad boys, is because just like if you watched our biscuit class, just like the biscuits, if I put them all tightly together, when they get in the oven, the water that's in the actual bagel, yeast dies off at 140. Yeast is going to stop doing what it's doing at 140 degrees. The water is what's going to give it the rest of the rise, right? So that water and that steam is going to carry it the rest of the way. So that's what's going to really give it that nice leaven in our bagel and kind of finish it out the rest of the way. This is looking really, really nice, and I'll show you what you need. So here's what I talk about, wiggle and a jiggle. So if I swirl the pan, see how it's still kind of moving? Eventually you're going to swirl the pan, and it's going to kind of like, it'll swirl, stop, swirl, stop. You'll see, it'll swirl, stop. All right, cream cheese, evacuated. Let's make our cocktail. Boy, you guys are in for a treat. I'm the worst bartender in San Antonio, and you guys are so lucky to be along with me for this amazing cocktail ride. Just a little bit of grace while we make this fantastically unique and complicated cocktail. All right, cream cheese. All right, that timer's going off again. Let me reset it here. Cream cheese in the fridge. These get flipped. How am I doing on time? All right?
You're doing okay, yeah?
All right. We're almost ready here. Good news is that's going to go. We've got this out of the way. All right, let's. So I've got my cocktail glasses. We got my cocktail. So I have these beautiful, beautiful champagne flutes. See how beautiful it is? Beautiful sterling crystal glass. So dainty. So. Nope. Not, because honestly, if the kids are going to make you breakfast, they should probably not be in control of something that could not break. I got another one right here. It's totally fine. I only make one cocktail. Jen's going to drink it. These are shatter-resistant K&T. I just proved it right here on the show that no matter what you do, slide off the front, slide off the back, this is fine. These are very safe. I got to get this out of my me, big hands. It's like, it's not going to break. So like if the kids are doing it, if they drop it, it's okay. It's going to be totally, totally fine. We're going to use those because I love them. Now we do have, if you walk into your local H-E-B, the GM section, if you have not visited one in a while, by the way, there is so much really, really nice stuff in there that you can take advantage of. Everything from real glass glasses to the ones I just showed you, those shatter resistant. These go back in. One more minute here. I'm going to brush my egg on these guys. Brush them all up. Right by the stove. Okay, these guys are going. I'm going to still turn that guy up. The sauce is looking beautiful. All right, here we go. So, if you've ever watched this program, we like to do some things that are maybe not the most bright things in the world, like, what are those things you ask? Like using a blender and throwing away the top. We don't need the top. That's also shatter resistant. This is an Oster blender that we have. Now, when I bought mine, it was a lot cheaper. I realized today they were like, hey, it's more expensive now. It's under $30 blender. So the word's out, I guess, that this is just as good as any other blender on the market. It's fantastic. So I'm going to show you a fantastic way to make a cocktail using one of my favorite little guys here. And the fruit that I'm going to tell you, Jen, if you're in Jen's camp, Jen, this is 100% a you thing.
Yes. Oh, we have to take these away from you.
But it's shatter resistant. So for somebody like me, that's a big gorilla, that's like, this is what you want to have around your kids. I'm telling you. I'm showing the value of the K&T shatter resistant items here. I'm telling you. All right, we're going to flip these guys over. These are our last ones. They're going to get brushed. At this point, we can go ahead and do our, I love this, our everything bagel spice right over the top. Yeah,
which also comes in different flavors.
If you have, you could absolutely do different flavors. If you wanted to make some of these plain, you can do half of them plain, half of them with bagel spice. You can do just poppy seeds. This is where they're really going to stick on here and be those beautiful bagels. Those are going to go. They got another 33 seconds. So Jen Oye said she loves going to the store and going like H-E-B and going like, oh my gosh, I want the strawberries, I want the blackberries, I want the raspberries. And all of a sudden she gets home and she's like, I'm not washing that. I'm not going to get it out of there. I'm not going to wash it. Good luck. It's going to sit there and ferment in the back of my fridge. Jen, did you know that we sell these, this is a mixed berry bowl. We sell all kinds of fantastic cut fruits. We walk through the amazing produce section at an H-E-B. You'll find these fantastic cut fruits. Different stores have different sections and varieties of these actual fruits. I just found the mixed berry. So I'm going to show you something. We're going to take this. It's a peach Bellini. I know you're looking at the recipe, you're like, Scott, you're not following the recipe at all. I know. We had frozen peaches because peaches are not in season. So we're pivoting around that. I've got an entire thing of berries in my blender without the top.
Oh, dangerous.
Jen, do you think you need a top on a blender?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Can I answer for you? No, you don't need a top on a blender, especially not here. Rob and I like to live dangerously. I told you he went to Hogwarts, school of, nothing is going to go wrong because he has the magic touch with all this. All right, I'm going to leave 3. You see this? 3 are going to have just plain into my preheated 420-degree oven, 15 minutes. You're obviously not going to see this. You'll be here long enough, but I'm going to show you what the end result looks like. 15 minutes at that 425. Take it out, to do a 180-degree turn with the pan, because you want to make sure it cooks very evenly, and that way that's all you need to do. All right, my drink. I have these. Have you seen these? Have you seen these guys?
Oh no.
Jen, are you a Prosecco drinker?
You know, I do like a sparkling every now and then.
These are fantastic. They're little individual ones. They're perfect for, great for mimosa, Mom's Day. Great for really anything, and I love the Bellini. So I talked about the Bellini. We have some of the IQF, or the individually quick frozen peaches, that you can use to actually, to make the Bellini with little raspberries. But I had these great fruits, and I figured, you know what, let's just do this instead. So I've got my Prosecco here. I've got my shatter-resistant glass that I've proven, I think we've all seen now that you cannot shatter the glass. Into the blender.
So crazy.
Just make you nervous, Jen?
You're crazy, man.
It's going to be fine. This will all work out. Up.
I wish I had your optimism.
What do you need a top to a blender for? Perfect. One of these days, it's all going to be a flaming hot, disastrous mess, and it's going to explode. I'm going to go, I'll be right back. I got to go brush my teeth. But until that day is not now. My hands are a little bit oily. All right, our Prosecco, again, this is easy. I know you've all been to that party where you're like, somebody's trying to open the champagne. Are you one of those people that's like...
I don't trust like, people opening it. It's not me.
Screw top. So much easier, especially for Mother's Day. You walk up there with your shatter-resistant glass. You've got a screw top. It's a lot safer, trust me, especially if I'm cooking for you. A little bit of Prosecco. I'm going to try and do it differently. I'm going to learn, Jen.
Oh, he's learning.
The first Prosecco I poured Jen was all foam. And she could eat it with a spoon.
It's very upsetting.
Eat it with a spoon. But I'm learning, Jen. I'm learning as we do this.
Pumpkins.
A little Prosecco. Look at that. Because it's Mom's Day. Come on. Bottle goes in. Now, this puree is ready to go now. There's a lot of seeds and things in it, so you can strain it out. You can add it straight to this if you wanted to. But being that I wanted to honor the puree fruit, I actually strained my mixture out. Look at how much pectin.
Oh, my goodness.
You see that? You see that?
That's
see that
almost
natural,
as thick as your
fruit,
preserve.
that thickened. So I strained it out. So where you would actually pour the, the peach puree and all that stuff in there, your little raspberries, I'm just going to add a little bit of this to our cocktail here. I'm going to drink it in there. It's going to get a little bit of that. But it's so good, that little bit of mixed fruit. It's got the blueberries, it's got the raspberries, and hang on, I got one more thing for you, Jen. One more thing, Jen. One more thing.
And we also sell like a peach nectar if you wanted to go that way.
We sell a what?
A peach nectar.
We sell a peach. Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Where's your spoon, Jen? You should be spooning
no.
this out. The one I gave you earlier,
okay.
You spooned it out.
Oh,
all right, so a little bit of a garnish here with my raspberry. Oh, it just keeps on going.
It's not stopping.
I'll wait for you then.
It's okay.
So you remember when I told you before we started this whole thing about my bartending skills?
Oh boy, maybe we should leave that to Charlotte. We'll just leave it to Charlotte.
It's almost like I added baking soda to it. It's gonna keep going. And now it's just making fun of me. That's fine. Watch this. I'll see you and raise you a raspberry. So I'll put this in. So when I'm making a cocktail for you, I'll serve it in a bowl so that we're all covered, just to make sure. In a shatterproof glass, but it is shatterproof. Notice it is shatterproof. It just keeps going. Look at that. That's science, folks.
Yeah.
That right there is science.
Wow.
And also, probably should have rehearsed that one.
The world's messiest cocktail.
Hang on, watch this. Oh, I know how to make it work. Oh,
okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Ta-da!
TV
Man,
magic.
I am available for hire for bartending expertise. I think you can all see pretty good at this cocktail slinging thing. I think I may have missed my calling. Look how pretty that is. After we put out the dumpster fire, the cocktail's good now. Man alive, there's your cocktail for dear old mom. Let me get out my plate here, Jen, because I want to know what you want on your bagel. Check this out.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, ask me.
So Amy on Facebook wants to know, can you explain how these bagels are different than egg bagels?
Yeah, so egg bagels have so I believe, my understanding is an egg bagel has the actual eggs actually mixed into it instead of it's using some of the fat. And it usually uses the yolks, and so it gives it a much more yellow, but I've never actually made the actual egg bagels that are really dark and eggy, but I know it has to do with the yolks that you're mixing in there to kind of give it that hue to it. From my understanding, again, I have not made bagels for 25 years, but the bagel recipe that I'm doing is actually sans the egg and just the oil instead, so that it actually comes up a little bit. It just comes up a little bit different. If I can show you, oh Rob, are you ready for this? This is a perfect finish right here. You can add egg to it. I have not tested that actual recipe. Maybe that's something we should do for next year on Mother's Day, is make an egg bagel. If you wanted to have that beautiful kind of yellow sheen though, that real hot yellow sheen, just brush the yolk on it, and it will give you that really nice kind of custardy yellow kind of finish to it, which will give it more of that kind of hue. Won't be like necessarily an egg bagel, but you'll definitely get more yolk flavor, more egg flavor out of that. All right, bagels, here we go. You ready for this? I made a bunch of bagels earlier. But can I just show you the ones that are in here? Are you ready for this?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't wait.
Get ready.
Yes, Tompkins.
Can you see how you see that? You see they're rising above the, I gotta take this out because I need to show this to you because this is too good. Again, we fail forward, right? Look at this. Who ordered the plain bagel?
Oh, that's me.
Can you see that? Look at how beautifully
they're
getting puffy, the chew on it. I'm telling you, right back in, they're not quite done yet. And then we're gonna rotate that, don't forget, 15 minutes. I've got about a minute left on that side. Rotate it 10 more minutes, or until the interior, if you're gonna take a temperature, needs to be between 190 and like 200 is where you're gonna stop. All right, Jen, I got a bagel for you, here we go.
Okay.
My bagel, my gloves, let me grab my gloves here. I'm gonna make a schmear, what do you want?
I
works?
would like no onions, but everything else would be great.
No onions. You want capers on yours? A little lox?
Yeah, let's go some, you have Nova Lox?
I'm into it. I got it. I got you. Look at this. This is the jam that's been cooled. Do you see our jams here? The one we just did, still kind of going, needs to cool down. Look at how much this set after we got it, right? Now this is set just from here. Once this goes in the fridge, you let it set up overnight, you're gonna get this action. This is one I did, so this is, again, confession time, things I'm going to tell my diary later on. I made jam last night so it could sit up overnight, and then I left. My wife texted me and said, hey, did you eat these jars of red stuff in the fridge? And I'm like, not anymore. So I made it fresh when I got here. And you can see this is what the preserve will do after about 4 to 6 hours in the fridge. See how slowly it kind of moves. And this is what it looks like finished. Here's the jam. This is our, look at this preserve. Come on, what? Get out of here with that. Look at this. That jam right there, nice and beautiful. Now this is where the pound of butter comes in because that's where you scrape all that off. Can you see, I do want to show you this though before I cut in the bagel. Can you see, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it, Rob? These little bubbles on top? Let me pull this guy out of here. See the little bubbles? I don't know if you can see them.
Oh.
They're right there. They're right here, those bubbles. These are the bubbles right on top. That is the hard work that you did, the fermentation that took overnight, your hard work. And I'll tell you, if you're doing anything for mom or anybody, that has this much love in it, that take your time, you do your thing, it has this much love, anybody is going to be appreciative of the fact that, like, hey, this is a labor of love. It took a lot of time to show somebody how much you care about them, especially somebody like Mom, and show them just how easy this can be at the very end, even though you may have sweated behind the scenes. It's really a lot of fun. We're going to take our bread knife, cut it open.
Beautiful.
You see the hole structure?
Yes.
So tight. It's not like a sourdough bread, right? It's not these huge open kind of like holes. These are like little bitty holes, little bitty pockets, but all set, straight, ready to go. All right, jalapeno cream cheese?
Yes, please.
Jalapeno, a little schmear on
Plenty
there.
of it.
You want plain too?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
got plain.
if it's not too much trouble.
No. You know why it's not too much trouble? Because I have whipped cream cheese, and my block of cream cheese is not sitting out going, I'm not ready yet. I'm still waiting. I'm not ready. That's why. You get the fact I don't
I
like
can't believe you let your cream cheese talk to you like that.
Well, what could I do, you know? I'm a lover, you know? I mean, I'm like, okay, if you're not ready, just take your time. How much longer do you think it'll take? I don't know, 6 hours maybe? I'm like, that's fine, whatever you got to do. All right, but the whipped cream cheese is like, well, look, whatever you need, I'm ready, man, I'm ready. All right, smear, and you want a little, so we've got, since we're doing an everything bagel, I made a little everything, I got our everything salmon, a little lemon pepper salmon, you want capers, you don't any red onions. I'm gonna do a little bit of each on this. This is our everything salmon, or everything lox salmon. Capers, yes?
Yes, please.
No red onions, huh? Not a
No,
red onion
I
fan?
don't know what it is.
Strawberry jam on top?
I mean,
Capers probably goes great with the
not,
salmon.
maybe on the, is the
Next one,
plain cream
next one.
cheese on bottom?
Here is the bagel, Jen.
Yes.
Here's your bagel. Right here, I've got another little board on there. And this is where you could serve your, this is where I would like, this bagel would be a smattering of butter, and then the jam, and then call that a day, that's done. But this is it, guys. Really, really simple recipes. Jen, you're always amazing. I always love having you here. It's
I love
always so
being
much
here.
fun. Our bagels, should we do another peek about bagels before we say goodbye? You ready for this? Come on.
Ooh.
Those are waiting for you. I'm telling you, just that easy. Guys, I want to thank you so much. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. We hope you have a fantastic and safe Mother's Day. If you missed something, don't forget, please go back to our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/HEB. Check out all the fantastic content. I'm talking everything from professional decorators and floral arrangements to celebrity chefs to everything you can imagine on there. Simply go to that website again, youtube.com/HEB. And if you missed something, you want to check out the next class, Jen, if they go to heb.com/classes, what would be the next class we're going to do?
Next class would be upgraded sandwiches with Chef Scott.
Good luck to that guy. All right. Guys, happy Mother's Day. God bless you. We'll take Jen, anything else that we missed?
No. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to your mom, Carol.
Oh, Carol and Cheryl, right? We got to take care of all the
Cheryl.
ladies out there. Guys, thank you so much. God bless. We will see you next time.